Hey guys, it's springtime and that means our plants are coming out of dormancy, and that also means we have to cut off all the old leaves, so stick around. So if you're new to this channel and you aren't really sure what this channel is about, this channel is dedicated to the care and cultivation of plants, and more specifically carnivorous plants just like this Sarracenia. So if that's what you're into, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of our weekly videos. Let's jump straight into it. Every winter, carnivorous plants go into dormancy. And that means that all of the old leaves for the previous season die off and the plant goes to sleep. And that also means that every springtime we have to cut off all the old leaves, so that the plant has new sunlight coming to the crown, and that all of these old leaves don't actually get in the way of the new growth and prevent sunlight from getting into the crown of the plant. So really, we have to make sure that we cut off all these old leaves. Although, this doesn't really happen in nature, but it does just help our plants just to grow more and grow better at the beginning of spring, just like it is now. So just like that, we will cut off all the old leaves so that the crown of the plant right here in the middle has as much sunlight coming to it as possible. And all the old leaves are no longer there, so that there's no rotting or mold developing on the plant. And this is just really to help the plant prevent any fungus and diseases and give it a good start for the next growing season. So I'm just gonna take all the plants out and cut off all the leaves, and I hope you enjoyed this time lapse. See, there's a lot of webs here from obviously a spider, and this is another reason why we want to get rid of all of the old leaves, because that also allows sort of a hiding place for all of the other insects and bugs that may come and find their way onto this plant. So by removing that, we also prevent any other bugs and insects that we don't actually want to be there from being there. So you can see here some of the webs that I've now taken off, and the crown is now, there's actually two plantlets here. Now the crown is open for all the new growth that's coming out. So this plant I got from England, as you can see, Hans Flytraps, and there's so much moss on the surface that is also flowering that it really does get in the way of the growth of the plant that's in the middle. If you can see there, I'm not sure how well you can actually see that, but this plant is starting to come out of dormancy, and there's a new flytrap developing right there in the center. And all of this moss and growth that's in the way does hinder the progression of the plant into springtime. So this is another reason why we just need to get rid of all of this moss and old leaves and stuff that do arise. And just make sure none of the debris actually stays near the crown of the plant, just to allow as much sunlight in there as we can. And there we go, this one's also now done. Sure, I don't know how I'm gonna really get this one on camera. Maybe like that. So really with Sarracenia, you want to cut as close to the crown as you can. So that one was cut just there. So really as close as I can down to the bottom, so that there is no extra bits like sticking out all the way up here. But everyone has their own preference really. But what I do with the plant that is a leaf that is half alive, like this one, is that I cut off just the dead bits and leave the rest that's alive, because this alive bit is still photosynthesizing and helping the plants out. Let's look inside of one of these pictures and see how many bugs this one actually caught last season. Oh, that's so gross. I'm not sure how well you can actually see this. Oh jeez, that's so gross. Ah jeez, I don't even want to touch it. So all of this is just dried up exoskeletons of flies, I'm guessing, for the most part. Hopefully you can actually see that. Oh, that's so gross. There we have this Sarracenia flower. It's already started making new growth here. Hopefully you can see that right there. And this plant will be very big this growth season. So some drosera binata still yet to start coming out of dormancy, but it will. They always do. And you can see that there's also webs on this plant. This is a plant also from a friend of mine in the Netherlands, and you can see here that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 baby plants all sprouting at the top here. And this is actually because this is Capensis Bainskloof, which grows a very long stem, and I had to bury half a stem into the soil so that it could actually fit into the pot, and that means that all of these little babies are now popped out from the stem, which is a win-win, I guess. And this is my Drosera capensis that I've grown from seed. And if you have watched my previous video on the aphids, you will understand now why exactly I hate springtails. Because if you look at the surface of the soil, it's full of like holes, and they break down the material, and that really is not what these carnivorous plants want. It's because they don't want broken down material, because that means that it's providing nutrients to the plant, and that kills the plant. So Drosera capensis are known to basically be non-killable, but obviously if you are not able to provide them with the correct soil, they're not going to grow in it. So this is why I don't like the springtails. But you know, some other people like them, I just don't. And this is just a normal Drosera capensis, and it's really struggling, and it's, you know, these things are unkillable, but some springtails have managed to kill them. Don't understand how this is even possible, but there's a first time for everything, I guess. The first time I've never been able to grow capensis really well. This is Drosera capensis red, and as you can see, it's flowering. So one of my subscribers wants some seeds from me, and this is one of the plants that he'll be getting. So here you can see the very pretty pink flower, and all of the different seed pods are coming up. And I hope you enjoy this plant when you do eventually get the seeds. The rest need to still flower, but this one's jumped up first. This is Drosera cross hybrida. You can't see the name, but I know that the IA means hybrida. And just at the tip of the scissors you can see a little hibernaculum. Another one here and another one there. So this plant will start growing soon, and it does have a flower stalk up here but no seeds. Actually the seeds just came up because this plant started flowering for me when I got it, which was basically the beginning of spring here in South Africa. I'm putting them back there just in case there are seeds, but there probably aren't. So I got this plant just in autumn, really. I brought it to South Africa, and I got it from the northern hemisphere, so it was starting to flower. But obviously it got quite a bit confused because, sorry, that's the greenhouse fans in the background just making all that noise. But it got confused because it went from spring straight back into autumn, and he's now like, why is this happening? So basically the flowers stopped growing, the plant went back to sleep, and now the plant will have the opportunity to grow extra strong because it's basically had 2 dormancies straight after each other. And that is really why we want to have dormancy for our plants, so that they can grow extra strong in the next growth season. And I mean, also it's from evolution. You can't not give the plants a dormancy period. There's a reason why it exists, and I don't really want to dive into that in this video. Hopefully you can also see that just there. Don't want to open it too much, but yeah, he's gonna start growing. Here we have Capensis small, as you can tell. Very good permanent markers, and as you can tell, it is small. Here are some Capensis albiform. As you can tell, the plant is completely lacking any red color. Even the tips of the trichomes here, or the sticky tentacles, some people may call it, are completely white, and that's what's called alba, like albino. Some may even call it anthocyanin free, which is basically a compound which gives plants the red coloration. And this plant is completely lacking it, so it's a really nice plant to have. And the cool thing is that it keeps this trait even through seed. So almost all of my Capensis that I have are all seed grown. So sometimes if you get a drosera Capensis red, it is not very red, or if you get a drosera Capensis normal, it is very red. So it's very variable, and that's why you really need to make sure that you get a fairly large amount of seeds. I mean, drosera Capensis produce too many seeds anyway, but then you'll be able to choose ones that you like, and hopefully that they will be exactly what you want, instead of just buying one plant that is not actually what exactly it is. So that's why you need to have a little bit of a variety of seeds every now and then. But luckily with these guys, they've completely lost the anthocyanin, and in such they are completely colorless, so that's really cool. So this big boy is Flava. Another more big words from South Carolina. This is also a plant from Germany, I think this one is from, and in such it also had a little bit of a shock coming into winter here, and not much growth. And this is Sarracenia alata. It is one of my oldest plants. Probably had it for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's in the biggest bucket out of them all. If you watched my previous video on the aphids as well, this is the bodyguard of the little enclosure that all the plants are in. And this plant grows a lot. Oh geez, look, there's even a flower coming out. So this is how a Sarracenia flower not a Sarracenia flower. This is how a Sarracenia flower looks like. The flower grows up really tall. You can't see in camera, probably about 1 meter taller than the plant, dependent on the size of the plant. And the flowers are kind of upside down like my hand is. And it's really interesting to see how different these flowers are compared to the rest. And this is literally the first time I've seen it on this plant since the season started. So these little things just where my finger is are all the new growths coming out of the plant for this season. And as you can see, there are tons and tons of little plantlets. Here's another one here, growing out of this rhizome, and it's gonna be a big plant this season, and I'm gonna be so sad to see him go. I don't know if any of you really know. Only a few of my subscribers really that have contacted me know that I am leaving South Africa at the end of the year, and I'm moving to Australia. And that is also why the start of each video, the what is it called, the opener, or the trailer, I guess, at the beginning says the pre-season, because this is going to be the pre-season to the first season of growth that I have of plants that will be in Australia, because December is summertime in the southern hemisphere, and around December, January, I will be in Australia, so that will be the first season, and this really will be the pre-season. And in such, I'm going to have to be selling off, or trying to sell off, many of my plants. Not many people can actually afford much in South Africa. But this plant is gonna be massive, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna actually miss all my plants, but you know, sometimes we have to do things for your future. And there we go. Now the crown is nice and open, so we can see all the new growth. None of the growth in the center will be hindered by the dead leaves, and this plant will now be able to grow nicely in the next season. So there we have it. All of the outside plants are now ready to start growing for the season. Let's pack them away, put them back into the cage, and there we go. Now they're locked up, they can't escape anymore, and they'll start growing well. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click the like button and to share it with everyone. And remember, every week we will be putting up a new video, so remember to subscribe as well. And I'm going to put all of these old leaves into the compost so that they can be used to grow more plants. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.